Again, this is my presentation of Brave New World, where I look at how I've been spending my isolation being stuck indoors, how to be creative, but also how other creatives and industries are doing it. And I start my presentation off with an image I created, sort of my artistic view on COVID-19, whereas it's an invisible entity, obviously it's faceless, and that's what we've been seeing in the news, but I've decided to almost give it a face and it holding the world over its hands as I feel that's what it's done. It's sort of had its grip on the world and it's stopped us from living its daily life. So this image I created almost gives COVID a face. It's sort of, yeah, how my take on it. And then going to the second slide, this is my brand Open Wound, which I created just before COVID, and its main inspirations from our early sort of 20th century posters and sort of like Japanese horror. So again, being in lockdown, I've watched a lot of movies and stuff to get reference for my material, which on the right hand side are some new designs which I'm hoping to release whilst in lockdown. First one being my Screaming Lady t-shirt, which is actually currently in production as this is made. Then this was made from an old 1960s movie, and then just taking a scene from that, and then using some techniques that I've learnt whilst on lockdown to create. And then the bottom one is sort of like an eye piece that I've created, which I'm still working out what I'm going to apply it to, but again, being in lockdown, I'm sort of looking at different techniques. And then the right hand side is a t-shirt I made just before lockdown and was hoping to get photos released for it, but being on lockdown and having to social distance from everyone, I was unable to do so. However, my friend Jung was kind enough, whilst he was out on a run doing his daily exercise, to take some photos of himself wearing my t-shirt to sort of do, and we sort of collaborated on this project, to sort of get the brand out there, and it's been quite successful, as him posting it on my socials and stuff has not only inspired others to do so, but has also helped the brand and showed people that even though we're in lockdown, we can still do photo shoots and still be creative. We just have to be inventive about it. And then this final one is, I've been looking at a lot of 3D rendering techniques, so I've been using After Effects and stuff like that to create 3D renderings, and this was my first attempt at it, so it's a bit fast, but it's taking a flat image and making it 3D, which I thought was really cool, and I've been playing around with that a lot. This slide is, again, more my inspiration. Again, these two images on the right hand side are what I actually used in the first slide. Again, the Devil Man is from a 1930s insurance poster. I thought the imagery on it was really strong and cool, so I thought I'd love to use it, but I've almost taken my own twist on it and using him as the coronavirus. And the one on the right hand side is a Weld movie poster from 1936. Again, I scoured for ages to find like a good Weld icon, and I sort of came across this, so I sort of included this slide to sort of show where I see stuff and how I almost take apart an image to create something. And then the final image on the far right is from my favourite Japanese movie I watched in recent, called Jikoku. Again, Japanese horror has been a real key inspiration in my creativity, and I remember seeing this scene and seeing the woman thinking, I really want to make something out of this. And yeah, I used two stills from it to create my Screaming Lady t-shirt, which I'm currently hand screen printing at home. The next slide is sort of, again, stuff I created, learnt in lectures. Again, one of the lecturers taught me how to create GIFs in Photoshop, which I thought was really cool. As a software, I thought you could only edit still photos that you're actually able to animate. I thought was really cool. So 2 of the images on here are from that, and I really enjoyed that. And this is just a bit more of a further showing of my 3D renderings on After Effects. Again, here I sort of rendered a tablet pill of my demon lady that I was wanting to use for something visual that I'm working on whilst in lockdown. And then this one is just a little fun take on the Internet Explorer logo, but I've turned it into an O for my brand Open Wound. And yeah, I'm still working out ways so I can sort of incorporate these into not only my university projects but different creative projects I'm working on. So that's some stuff. Again, these are some of the key softwares that I've been using. Again, most of them, 3 of them are Adobe. Again, having the full Adobe Creative Suite from university has been amazing. Sort of learning Photoshop, After Effects, and Illustrator. Again, After Effects has been amazing for learning how to do like 3D renderings and stuff, which I've been working on and using. Again, I've got Ableton here, which I DJ and I make music, so especially being in lockdown and not being able to do anything else, I've been spending my time playing on my synthesizer, playing with some ideas, especially being back at home at my parents' house. I've got my dad's full studio set up, so me and him have just been playing around in Ableton with ideas on his guitar, me and my synthesizers. And again, Photoshop is another one. Again, I love Photoshop. Again, it's my workhorse for almost creating my images for Open Wound. So I'm always on there creating new images, whether I see something on TV or YouTube that I'm watching. I'm always straight on there doing bits. And the final one is Illustrator. I've had it on my MacBook ever since I started university, but never opened it. But getting into screen printing and learning about screen printing, this has been a real key tool, as I use this or have been using this to put my screen printing ideas to print onto acetate, and it's been an amazing tool. It's been hard to learn, but I'm getting there, sort of teaching myself. Going on to here's some of the applications I use on a daily basis on my phone. Again, I've got eBay here. I buy and sell vintage clothing, so eBay is amazing for finding vintage Moschino, Versace, all that sort of stuff. So I'm always on there searching for a fair few hours a day. I've been quite lucky with getting some stuff. Again, I use Depop to sell the stuff I get on eBay for profit, as I find older people sell stuff on eBay and don't use Depop, whereas younger people strictly stick to Depop, and I guess that's down to their marketing, and they've done that quite well. And as well, Facebook and Instagram have been amazing for me, as I'm isolating my parents at the moment. They live in the middle of nowhere, so unfortunately using my phone for texting that is quite hard to get text messages and stuff. So contacting me on Facebook, Instagram has been the main way my friends contacting me. But also as well, got DJ live streams on Facebook, people funny videos to sort of keep me entertained. Also looking at what other creatives are getting up to has been really inspirational, not only for myself but also to sort of break the sanity of being locked up indoors. And obviously PayPal as well for my business. I use PayPal on a daily basis to carry out my transactions and sort of ensure that I get the money for my items. So I'm always on PayPal, ensuring that I've been paid for the items so I can ship them out to customers. And finally, Etsy. I really like Etsy because it's always a great place for creative and designers, from like maybe people making blankets or unique bits of clothing, posting them up there to sell. So I always like looking on there to find unique pieces that I won't find anywhere else. And the next slide is sort of my essential tech, starting off my iPhone 10, which is literally my left hand. I'm always on it, whether it be taking photos of clothes, looking for clothes, or contacting people to sell the clothes. It's literally my all-in-one business. Again, I don't think I could go a day or even a minute without my mobile phone. So yeah, my phone is probably number one on the essentials. Going in with number two, it's probably my MacBook. Again, unfortunately, it's going to the end of its lifespan as I have another one on the way, but still, for my Photoshop, Ableton, for my DJ, having all my songs on there, it's a key bit of kit. And not even so, I use it to watch YouTube, watch TV series. So again, it's a key bit which has been helping me through lockdown. Again, without it, I think I probably would have lost my sanity. And the final one is the messy studio at my parents' house. Again, the photo I've sort of tried to capture the mess of how we have all this tech bulged into one. So we have a mixer, have an old synthesizer there, and then my dad's speakers. Again, probably in this room most of the day, whether it be on my MacBook or going playing, make some music with my dad. We're always in there, sort of messing around with ideas. And I think for tech, it's an essential. This is my wish list of items I'd love to have whilst in lockdown. The first one is an EBS 260 handjet printer. Again, these are fantastic. They're actually used for oil barrels to get prints on like barrels or like walls and stuff, but I didn't actually want one until I saw the brand Chinatown Market use one to print hoodies. And once I saw that video that they were literally running it across a hoodie and they got a full like one colour design on it, I instantly wanted one as my brain sort of started looking at ideas I could use with it as you send an image to it, and yeah, you can literally print anything on it in one colour. The only downside is they're about £5,000 or $5,000, so they're out of the budget, but one day I would hope to get my hands on one or something similar once the price goes down. My next one is an aluminium 240T silk screen. The higher the T stands for the dots on a small silk screen, so the higher dot count you have, the more detailed screen prints you have. Again, these are on a wish list that I'm looking to purchase in, just because I want to have more detailed screen prints. So it's an essential bit of technology almost to get my ideas onto a t-shirt or print. So again, these another essential item. The final one that I'm thinking about doing is a Pioneer XDJ RX2. I've wanted a pair of Pioneer CDJs for ages, as that's what I use when I DJ at clubs, and I've been looking at upgrading my DJ kit. This currently is the best on the market, as it brings almost a £3,000 Pioneer setup in half the price. Again, it still is £1,500, but having one of these and being able to DJ on it, my neighbours would love it and I would love it. Again, this slide sort of looks at reselling it in COVID, as many stores like Supreme and Palace have closed. So whereas a lot of resellers don't use their online counterparts, because of people use hacked bots and have stuff, and because of these hacked bots, everything sells out in 1 second. So not being able to have a store has massively decreased not only the chances of people copying, but the amount of items people are able to purchase. And this has affected a lot of resellers to this. So because of that, people are struggling to make ends meet, as many people rely on reselling to make a living. And I've even spoke to a couple of my friends who resell, who are struggling because of this. And they are looking at new ways, trying their hand at online, but yeah, it's crazy, it is hard. But on the flip side, I resell a lot, and what I've noticed is, even though it is harder to get items, a lot more people are buying. For me, for a person, I find people are buying stuff to have it delivered and almost have something to look forward to. I've had repeat customers buying stuff and telling me when they buy it, this is the only thing sort of keeping them sane, looking forward to this new item of clothing and stuff. And then to round that off, I have a couple of statistics. Again, 80% of Depop sellers are under the age of 25. I thought this is a really cool statistic, as I sell on Depop, and me being just under the age bracket of 25. I thought this is really cool, but also how I get my stock. I buy a lot off eBay, and I noticed that it seems that the older generation do use eBay, and this statistic almost backs up and sort of shows that almost younger people use Depop to buy and sell their clothes, whereas the older generation almost stay on eBay. So it's quite cool. There's almost two things doing the same thing and almost an age divide on that. Then another one I like is a US study found that 48% of consumers would consider giving second-hand clothing as gifts. I really like the statistic, as again, I'm not a big fan of fast fashion. I don't shop on things like Boohoo or Pretty Little Thing because of their practices in fast fashion. I'd much rather go to a charity shop and find something pre-loved. And I know from a point, a lot of my clients, I even had a client today who she bought a shirt for her boyfriend, and because of social distancing, I've sent it to her boyfriend as almost a surprise thing for his birthday. So it almost shows that the second-hand clothing I'm selling is not just people sort of treating themselves, they're using it as birthday gifts as well. So I thought the statistic on that was really cool. Again, these are websites that I use on a daily basis. Again, SoundCloud. I use SoundCloud for pretty much finding 90% of all my music. I don't use Spotify or stuff, just so I find that it doesn't have all the underground music I'm into, and I really like finding weird or different undiscovered artists that not many people have heard of. I like to be the person to always say, have you heard this artist? Have you seen this artist? So SoundCloud's a great way, especially being on lockdown, scouring on it to find new artists. Again, the second one, eBay, probably a recurring theme on here. I love eBay. It's probably my favourite website in the world. Again, it's a one-stop shop for finding anything. You could literally type away on eBay, and the options are endless. I've bought things from Panasonic kimonos to archive runway Moschino two-pieces. Again, you literally never know when you're going on there. The next one is Owler. Again, to keep up with my university work, Owler's been constantly in my tabs, been tabbing over to make sure I'm up to date on the work and then make sure I'm always up to date. And then YouTube's key for tutorials on After Effects, InDesign, Photoshop, different tutorials for stuff that I want to learn. I literally type it into YouTube and there's guaranteed to be a video of someone being able to show me what to do. So I really love YouTube. I don't think I'd be able to, or I would have the knowledge of half of the things I use on a daily basis without YouTube. And again, Zoom. Zoom has been very invaluable for not only my mum who's downstairs at the moment working from home, as she works as a PA, so she uses Zoom to organise meetings for her clients and speak to clients from all over the world as she's unable to go into her office. But also for me, university, being able to continue my lectures and learn with my lecturers whilst being on the comfort of my home and social distancing. So it's been an invaluable tool, but also for a social standpoint, being able to speak to my friends on Zoom chats, having quizzes every Friday, and a really way to show how it's not only impacted my life but other people is the fact that Zoom's been the top downloaded iPhone app since March 18th in the United States, which just shows how much of an impact it's had on everyday life. And it's, I don't think I know anyone in this sort of current time which hasn't used Zoom or has Zoom on their phone. So again, Zoom has been fantastic, and I'm going to continue using it to further my education and keep in contact with my friends. Again, this is almost a pick of my top YouTube isolation tutorials. Again, this one here, Photoshop for screen print halftones. Again, I've been looking at halftone printing, and again, the process of getting your print onto a screen is quite lengthy, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and which I've had from personal experiences. So I've been watching a video of a guy going through that, which has been really, not only from a design standpoint to make sure from the first point of conception of an image to ensure that I get the best possible result, but also ways to ensure once I go to creating my screens I get the best outcome. And then below that is probably my favourite tutorial I've had in isolation, and that's, which from the earlier slides, is how I created my almost 3D rotating images. Again, it's a tutorial that I watch time and time again because I keep forgetting the process, but I'm even thinking about now the creativity opportunities are endless with this, and I've almost been experimenting with making an image and going, alright, I'm going to render it in 3D, and yeah, it's been really fun and probably my favourite skill I've learned this year. Another one is in After Effects is almost typography and ways that I can distort it and have it animating. This is not only, I think, be cool future projects for like having text moving, but I've also been looking at doing it to print on t-shirts, being distorting it and then playing it back to get the perfect frame for designs for my brand open wing. So yeah, this has been a really cool tool to use, and I'm still experimenting with it, but yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with this tutorial, trying out different fonts and texts and seeing how they distort and wave. And then the final one is a tutorial about screen printing. Again, about, if you asked me about 5-6 weeks ago how do you screen print a t-shirt, I would have gone but this has allowed me to sort of go step by step, and this has almost been my bible of me buying my screen printing setup and stuff. I've almost watched this every day just to refresh my mind and stuff. As the guy slowly, as probably the first guy who's slowly gone through, okay, you do this and you do that. So again, it's been a really helpful tutorial because it's given me an outlet to further my brand a lot more. Well, this and all these other ones have helped me further my brand. So yeah, they're top YouTube tutorials. Again, I'd recommend watching them. Again, I've named this slide Last Night a DJ Saved My Isolation. 10 points if you get the reference. Again, with DJs not being able to go perform at club and festivals this year, they've been looking at ways, how can I perform to my fans, how can I keep that fan engagement. So Facebook live streams, YouTube live streams have been fantastic. Again, I've been watching at least one or two while otherwise studying or going to bed, just almost stop my summer from being cancelled. Again, these are two of my favourite ones. You've got Party Boy 69, who does his weekly live stream, as he's an Australian DJ who was actually touring in the UK, and because of COVID, he's stuck in London. So he's been using that time to live stream and keep his fans. So that's been cool. And you also got Peggy Goo, who did a live stream for Boiler Room, raising money for global food banks. She DJ'd from the highest point in Seoul, Korea. So that was a really cool live stream, because not only was she DJing and performing, which was good to see her, but she was also raising money for a good cause, and it's good to see DJs are using their platform to raise more money for not only the NHS but charities and stuff. Again, going on this, clubs and festivals have been almost affected. Many promoters and festivals are worried in these uncertain times if they're going to be able to operate next year, and with festivals making posts like the one Reading Festival made yesterday closing, it's hard for them to see how they can survive, as it's an industry which thrives off the summer season, and with summer pretty much being cancelled, a lot of them are uncertain if they will be able to operate next year, with them having to give out thousands and thousands of pounds of ticket money. And there's even a statistic saying that once this is over, 50% of bars and clubs and festivals could face closures. It's one of the few industries which hasn't received government support, and I feel it's one that does, because clubs and festivals obviously are a big part of UK culture. Not being able to have them anymore this year is hard. So ways you can help that, obviously a lot of festivals have been offering to keep your ticket for next year. I know I've done it with a couple of my favourite festivals, not only because I know I will probably go to them next year, but also to ensure that they happen. And again, it's very uncertain. I'm very almost worried that I might lose some of my favourite events and festivals due to Corona. This is another cool thing which it hasn't happened yet at the time of me recording this, which I'm kind of sad because I'm looking to buy a ticket to do it. But UK Jury Coven are actually bringing a virtual club to your screens, and they're using Second Life to do that. So they've created a club within Second Life, and they're selling tickets on their website for you to attend it, but also you're able to view it on Twitch, the live stream. So I think that's really cool, because it's almost bringing music and technology, which has always gone hand in hand to one, but really collaborating to do it. And I know I'm itching to do it because I'm itching to go out clubbing, so I know this will almost give me that fix. But also they're donating all the proceeds to struggling artists at the moment, as many artists like the creative industry are struggling. So this is a way to ensure that they're able to live, because not only are we struggling, they're one of the few industries which obviously they don't have the furlough scheme. So it's good to see that they're using a platform like this to not only help make isolation a bit better, but to help others. Again, this one, I'm looking at charitable clothing. Again, you've got Palace, Supreme and Noah, two big streetwear giants. Obviously you've got Palace and Supreme, which are probably the UK's biggest skate brand, and you've got the US biggest skate brand, and obviously Noah, which the director came from Supreme. Again, two of them did limited releases. You've got Palace with their Try Donator tee, where all the proceeds went to the NHS. Again, they did it on a limited release. Again, I tried myself getting one. Obviously, I was unfortunately unsuccessful. You also got Supreme, who did one, which is going towards UK COVID-19 research. Again, they collabed with Taka, I'm going to butcher this, Tako Mashui, a famous Japanese artist, to create probably the most iconic box logo in my opinion. And then you've got Noah, which opted for a different release. They decided to go for a pre-order release of their t-shirts. So you're able to pre-order the t-shirt, you're guaranteed you'll get one, unlike Supreme and Palace. And they went for, again, a much more simplistic design. The reason I put this slide, I found it quite interesting, is it almost shows that even in these times, brands like Supreme and Palace are still trying to keep their limited resale core brand element in these times, as Supreme and Palace are known for being very limited, and they've shown that with their t-shirts, as StockX prices, which is a big reselling site, has shown that, whereas both Supreme and Palace retail for around £40. You got StockX prices on the Palace tee being £144, and the StockX price for the Supreme one being $599. It just shows that how people even profiting for charity. And the interesting thing is that people, if you read comments on reselling sites like Facebook and Depop, people are actually slating people for reselling these t-shirts. So it's quite an interesting argument, whereas people still want to make money reselling, but people are questioning, is it moral to resell off a charity tee, as obviously they're going to make way more money than was given to the charity. In my opinion, I feel they should have gone the approach with Noah, as the fact Noah's ensuring that everyone gets the t-shirt they want, but also they're donating as much money as possible to the cause. Again, this slide goes out to the NHS, again probably the biggest backbone to making sure people are well and stuff. I know from a personal standpoint, I applaud the NHS. I'm having a lot of family members. I've got my sister who's currently working in a care home, caring for the elderly, making sure they're all right. I've got an auntie who's actually working on the COVID-19 wards, ensuring they're all right, who actually contracted coronavirus herself. So she was out of work for 3 weeks, battling coronavirus. Luckily, she was able to beat it and is back helping people. So again, the NHS have been amazing, and I feel without them, we'd probably be a lot worse off. And it's glad to see people like Captain Tom Moore raising over £30 million to help them. And again, I'm always out every Thursday clapping for them. Again, this slide shows how clothing and stuff is still being made. Again, you've got Zara, who are sending clothes to their models to model in their homes, which I think is really cool, as not only does it beat the boring sort of e-com studio black and white background, it makes them look inventive. And I've been looking, it's probably the first time I've actually properly been on Zara and actually looked for clothes, because I've sort of looked, okay, how have they taken this interesting photo, how have they done this? And yeah, it's really cool to see them not only using digital, but like this one here, they've sort of used film as well. So it's really cool to see how creative the models have been posing for the clothes. And I feel in a way it actually makes the clothes more sellable, because you can almost visualise how they're doing it. And then the final ones down here is for my workplace where I freelance Tapestry. Again, due to COVID-19, they've had to close their studio in Soho. So they actually sent me an email update showing what they're doing, which I thought was really cool. A lot of the photographers there, they've given them home studio setups. So we used to shoot a lot for Dorothy Perkins and Topshop, that in their studio, they've been doing that at home. And this photo on the side here is one of the test shots which one of the photographers created at home. So it's cool showing that even though we're stuck indoors, work in these studios are still able to continue as normal, whether they be in a limited home studio setup. So it's really cool to see this creativity still happening. And then the next one going on to creativity is Converse. Again, Converse to me has always been at the forefront of ensuring creativity, whether it be having Tyler the Creator with his Golf Le Fleur, or having the Converse Hotel where they invited their artists. And that creativity hasn't stopped even in lockdown, as Converse is giving the creatives freedom on their Instagram accounts, which is really cool. Again, you've got Spencer McMillan, who's a really cool artist. Again, Tyler Creators featured him a lot. They've given him a chance to customise his own Converse and sell them for charity, and sort of highlight him there. And then you've got Tired Jerry, who's a really cool sort of upcycler, and she's almost taken her own spin on the Chuck by cutting it up and always making a really cool lace-up effect. So it's really cool to follow them, as I've been following them on a daily, not only to get inspiration again for open wounds, seeing how people are doing it, but also to see what other creatives are getting up to. And it's really cool to see Converse doing something like this and keeping their creativity flowing. Many of their probably projects have been cancelled due to COVID, but from that another one is born. So again, it's really cool to see that they're doing that. And yeah, I'm going to keep following it forever to see what they're doing. And I'm really hoping other brands sort of take this creativity, because it's almost, you got Converse and you had Zara previously, sort of giving it in the hands of their creatives instead of like big executives. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what, even though COVID's bad, to see what comes out of it. And these final two slides are just my references. So again, yeah, loads of references used in making this slideshow. Again, I sort of went in-depth, researched loads of places, and yeah, that's my presentation. I hope you enjoy.